let's dig down together into the specificity of selectors. So as you see, we have 5 circles here, and all of them are having the class circle, which is giving this circular shape as you see in the styles, although we are giving the background color black. As you see, some of these circles are red and blue, and then you see that the 2 circles in the top are having the class red, which is assigning the background color red. So the question pops up, since we assign 2 different background colors, red using the class .red and black using the class circle for these 2 first divs, why the red one is taken and the black one is not being assigned? Well, it's been assigned but overwritten. To explain it in practical way, let's just grab these 2 classes, the red and the blue together, put them before the circle class. As you see, everything became black. Since now we are defining first like this background color, and then we are overwriting them by the background color. The other question that could pop up, does this order inside this class attribute in the HTML plays any role? It doesn't play any role, as you see. Like if you assign red and then circle or then red in the class attribute, it doesn't play any role. But the order of the classes here plays a huge role. But now there is a question, does it always work like that? Let's grab this bigger ID here, which is assigned to the 4th circle, and as you see, it's having like a bigger width. So let's grab it and put it before the circle. And as you see, the circle, nothing changed as I saved. Perhaps the width here is 200 pixels and it should be overwriting this bigger one because it's assigned after it. And here comes the concept of specificity. Stay till the end of the video to understand this concept, since this concept will be a tool that you need in your whole career as a front-end developer. So specificity. As I teach you in the last video, we have 3 types of selectors. So we have the element selector, class selector, and ID selector. Every kind of this selector has a specificity. So the specificity of element selector is 1. I will tell you in a second what these are. Just keep in mind the specificity of element selector is 1. The specificity of class selector is 10. So you add 10. And the specificity of ID selector is 100. So now let's do the calculation. Do we have element selector here? Take a second to guess. No, we don't. So we have 2 types of selectors which are used here. The class selectors having a dot before them, and the ID selectors be having the hashtag before them. So as you see here, the specificity of this ID is 100 since it's an ID, and the specificity of this circle is 10. That's why the order doesn't play any role here in this case, since the specificity of the ID will stay bigger if you put it before or after the circle class. That's why we see no changes if we switch the position and the order of these 2 stylings. Now I will reset our classes a bit. I will just keep the circles red and blue so we see some more colors, and I will do something interesting, which is adding a green class, which basically gives the background color green. Now let's assign this class to the 2nd circle, and if we save, nothing will change, basically because the green one is assigned and then it's overwritten by the red one. Now we can do something interesting. Instead of just writing the green under red, we can do something else, which is keeping the green above the red. And if we calculate the specificity, now the specificity of this green class is 10 and the specificity of red class is 10 too. What we can do is to make it more specific by adding div. As you see, the color became green. That's because like the div is an element selector, and the element selector has, as we saw, the specificity 1. So that means we have specificity 1 plus specificity 10. That means we have specificity 11 here. And that's why this one will not be overwritten by the red. Now what about coloring this black lonely circle down there? So what we could do is to make it interesting and use the specificity. I will keep all the styles the same except the background color. I will make the background color purple. As you see, if I save, nothing changes. Why? Same concept. Repetition makes the master. So now you are seeing the same concept repeated and repeated and repeated. I want you to understand this concept since it will stay with you till the end of your career. It will follow you after your death even. So since the specificity is the same, the one below is overwriting the one above. So now what we could do is make it more specific, and as you see, it has overwritten even the red and the blue. The only one which is not overwritten is the green. Now let's fix it. Guess how? We make the red more specific by adding 1 to it, and then we have specificity 11. So the rule is when the specificity is the same, then the order counts and the one below overwrites the one above it. But if the specificity is higher, like in our case here in the bigger, in the ID, then this is the highest specificity here. So nothing can overwrite this bigger one, the bigger ID. Although we can overwrite it by adding to it an element selector. So it has the specificity. Let's make it much more bigger, 500, by giving it its save and check. And as you see, it became bigger just because we added the element selector with the ID selector. So the specificity became 101. And then we can go further and decide to give this the red color. And then we go to the HTML. We add the red color here. And as you see, it became red. Why? Because we added 10 to the specificity. So we have 1 element selector plus 100 for the ID selector, 101, plus 10 for the class selector. So it's 111, and so on. We have for sure some other specificities for the different types of selectors. But since I've explained in this course just the basic 3 selectors, selectors, which are element, class, and ID selector, I gave you the rule for that. So keep it in mind. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get the newest videos and be a sharp developer. Like the video if it benefited you, and see you in the next video.